We are back, catching up with coach and head coach Scott Burt sits down at the table to talk Greensboro Gargoyles. Coach, a successful week, all things considered, and maybe the hardest piece of the remaining schedule. 4 games in 5 days. You come away with a split and back-to-back wins for the first time since November. So when you look back at, that whole weekend, maybe a little fall off at the end, but coming off of a long travel schedule up to Glens Falls, New York, in the 3-game sweep of Adirondack, how do you assess this past weekend?
I liked it. I liked the way our guys played. Again, I always talk about there's no quit in this group. They've been playing a lot of hockey as of late, and I really saw the fatigue starting to creep in, but the guys gutted it out, or gutted a few of the games out, and we were happy with that.
We haven't sat down since that road trip up to Adirondack. Your team came back with a lot of vengeance on Wednesday in Norfolk, and that was a big victory. You got a lot of depth scoring there. The power play has also started to get going, and a big piece of that is the return of David Gagnon, who came back a couple weeks ago. He's been close to a point per game, as well as Blake Biondi, and now your top 6 all have AHL experience. How critical has that depth been?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You really see the chemistry with Blake and Gags right now. When they were up in Chicago, typically they were playing with each other kind of on the maybe 4th, 5th line, and they get an opportunity to come down here and really showcase their stuff and the way they play, right? You add Denny Gore onto that. Denny's a very skilled, high IQ player, and that's been helping that group out. And then you add Tyler Weiss with Newell and Nelson, gives you a top 6 that are high end in this league for sure. And I mean, it's good to see. That's what you need. It was the hard part with us at the beginning of the season. We had guys up and guys down, and we had guys that were injured, right? So this is really the first time in which we would like this earlier in the season to have a full, mostly healthy lineup.
Well, it's crazy to think that we're already into the month of March here. February was big for the offense. After a month of January where the goals were hard to come by, your team averaging just inside of 4 goals per game through the month of February. And the depth scoring played a big factor in that. Both of the wins on Wednesday and Friday were kicked off by defensemen, and Braden Doyle with his first career goal, Trevor Zins on Friday with his first goal since back in November. And talk a little bit about getting that depth scoring and what you've seen resulting in that success.
Well, you like to have depth scoring throughout the whole season, right? If you rewind all the way back to October, November, it'd have been awesome if we had this scoring, but we didn't, and we got unlucky a few times there, right? But to get that going now, it gives the guys confidence, not only the player themselves, but the team, right? That we are getting guys maybe from different lines from the back end that are scoring, and it's not just really relying on 1 or 2 guys, because that puts a lot of pressure on them, and that's what you try and build. When you're building a team, you want to have depth. You want to have 4 lines, and not all 4 lines are going to score. Not all 4 lines are going to have that skill set, and some of the guys are going to have different skill sets that penalty kill and play 5-on-5 and bring energy and whatnot, right? So we try and build a depth group. Sometimes in the ECHL you don't have that, and for us it's building that core group of guys where we can build around for the next few years coming up. So that's the hard part, with an expansion team, is you don't have those core group of guys to build around right off the hop. And yes, it's a league that you want results right away, and we have to look at it at we're developing these players, and sometimes that takes a beating. It takes a beating on the coaches. Because you are expected to win every single night, and that's what we expect from our players, is to win every single night. But we're trying to build for the future, and that's what we'll continue to do.
And I want to talk about your goaltending as well, because you've stressed a lot in the development and what we've seen between Nikita Kwap and Ruslan Ajayev. And let's start with Nikita, because we saw 3 consecutive starts for him. He gets back-to-back wins for the first time as a Gargoyle, and played to a higher level than we've seen over the last couple of months. And you challenged these guys, saying that if they kept winning, they could stay in the crease. Talk about what you saw in his 3 starts there over the week.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to it, and he won a big game in Norfolk, came back, won again. It was unfortunate we couldn't win that third to go three in a row. But both goalies have been playing well. They've maybe been a little inconsistent at times throughout the season. And our job here is to give them the minutes so they can build the confidence because they're under contract with Carolina. So for us, it's getting them in the crease, getting them playing time, letting them field pucks and work on their game. And we've been seeing within both goalies, their game has developed from the beginning of the season to where it is. And a lot of that has to come with Cam Ward that has come down to work with our goalies and Jason Mazzotti, who's their goalie coach as well, has been down here working with the guys. So, I think they're happy with them. I think they would like to have a few more wins. It's a team game. Sometimes it doesn't go that way, but we'll continue to help develop their game.
Ruslan Hajeyev set a career and personal mark with a high of 42 goals in Sunday's loss. That's the second time he's set a franchise record where the result has not been in the team's favor. Now, what would your message be, and what do you tell a player like that who is very intense and holds himself to a very high standard? He expects to never let a goal in ever. But how do you stress that was a strong performance for him?
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen a goalie let in 42 goals on a Sunday. But
that's the smirk. He loves it. Loves catching me.
But 42 saves. I mean, that's great for him. I don't like it as a coach because that's too many shots, especially from the interior of the ice. Maybe if it was 42 from the outside, I'd like it a little bit better, but it didn't give us an opportunity to win. So we have to, bear down a little bit to keep the shots down for our goaltenders. But yeah, the more they see, the better off they feel. But on the coaching side, we don't like that many shots.
Now, as we look forward to this coming week, 3 games in 4 days. You'll have a road trip to Savannah and just 1 game on Thursday. You'll return home and finish off the season-long series against the Reading Royals. And finally, won't have to see the Royals anymore. After this will be game number 12. Let's start with the matchup against Savannah. And just 1 game against them, as well as a preseason game. But now you'll head down there. And what do you see out of that matchup that you'll look to capitalize on?
Really, I think if you go back to that game, and I always talk about, rewind a little bit, we controlled the play, and we gave up a last-minute goal. So if we can clean that up, and I believe with the players that we have added, and finding some confidence and winning some hockey games, that we can, play for a full 60 minutes instead of a 59-minute game, in which that really hurt us and probably sent us a little bit on that down spiral because you play a top end team and you play them really well and you control the play, and then all of a sudden you let in a goal. It's kind of defeats you a little bit. So that has to be cleaned up. But as long as we can get off to a good start, I like our group and I like the chances that we have. And then coming back, right? It just seems like we play a lot of 4 and 5s and 3 and 3s, right? This will be a 3 and 4. So I don't want to say we're used to it because it does take a toll on our guys. And again, you saw the fatigue this past weekend. So hopefully we had a light skate today. Get on the bus and get back and get down to Savannah and then get back and then get ready for Saturday, Sunday.
Playing against Reading 2 more times, a team that has been among the top of the North Division for the whole season, had been hard to beat, but coming off of the last series you played them where you won the weekend, 2 of the 3 wins. What do you need to come away with the same result here in a 2-game set for Wizard weekend?
Well, hopefully the Wizard will put a spell on Reading and give us an opportunity to win a few games or a couple of games. No, but you know what? I think we match up really well. They're a team that is structured. They're a team that does get their players from Philly and Lehigh Valley. So, we just have to match the intensity, or they have to match our intensity, and we just have to go out and play our game and hope for the best.
And last one for you, as you mentioned, that fatigue coming off the 4-game week and now approaching another tough home and away setup. How do you, as a coach, prepare for that and prepare your players to come ready into the second half of that weekend?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Rest is a weapon. A lot of it, depends on the player and understanding that this is so-called their job and being a pro, right? So you can't burn the candle at both ends, and you got to get your rest, and you got get the right fluids in you, and you just got to prepare. The mental side of hockey is huge nowadays. Before, it used to just put on gear and just go out and play. Right now, it's, hey, listen, they have to study the game, they have to study their opponents, and then again, fatigue and nutrition are a big part of it. So to keep the fatigue down, you got to get your rest, and you got to get the right meals in you, and you got to get the body going. But we're not the only league that plays a lot of 3-and-3s and 4-and-3s. You look at the NHL right now; they're playing a lot of 4-and-5s or 3-and-5s, right? Maybe they travel a little bit better than us on a jet, and maybe they have a little bit different food that's provided to them. But for our players, they have to learn that, and if they want to get to that next level, they have to have that mindset that, hey, listen, I got to just show up every single game and put the gear on and be my best, and if that happens, they'll get noticed, and then hopefully they can hit their goal to play in the NHL.
Now, you were a pro's pro, an ECHL legend. What was your go-to fuel back in the day when the game was different?
Well, after games, you probably don't know what I would eat or put the fluids in, because it's completely different now. Nowadays, it's a race to get to the protein bar and make a protein shake, and we take the ladder to go to the other side of things. But no, honestly, my pregame meal would be a steak and some spaghetti, and that was it, and then have a little snack before I went back down to the rink, and I'd have a popsicle going to the rink, and that would kind of get me going.
Well, the team's going to try to rally that Scott Burt strength this week on the road in Savannah Thursday night, right back home here at the First Horizon Coliseum Saturday and Sunday for Wizard Weekend against the Reading Royals. Coach, thank you for the time.
Right on. Thank you, Casey.